It's time to do the Monday crossword on February 9th, 2026. This one is by Matthew Stock, who is a specialist in these kinds of themed puzzles, so I'm excited to see how this turns out. All right, Sail the Seven Seas. I like that one. Fill in the blanks are nice and simple. Anglo-Saxon, a scroll that's read during the bat mitzvah ceremony, so that's a Jewish ceremony. This is a Torah. Like a situation with only bad outcomes is perhaps a no-win situation. Overflowing with makes me think this is a wash. A tad is the slightest bit, and overflowing with is a wash. So let's go with that. Thanksgiving boatful is gravy. So I'm gonna go with gravy. Bill, who says science rule, is Bill Nye. Bill, so on. I feel like the British people don't understand what that is. Um, it's a shame. Bill Nye. I hope he's all right. I feel like he's kind of fallen out of like the general knowledge, like out of the radar of like the general public at this point. But I think he's so relevant in like science communication. I know he did a thing on Wired, like an interview thing, but technically he's not like he's not an academic. He's just a science communicator. This one is interesting. So this is since there's only one letter left, we go with this one. Fancy meeting you here is oh hi. Okay, that one's all right. One of those just four letter phrases, two-word phrases. There are a few ways that you can cobble together some phrases like that, but this one I think works out quite well. Body parts that can serve as a pencil holder. Well, the ear. I'm thinking about body parts that typically have pencils behind them. Tiny hill dweller is an ant. And then Sanskrit word for teacher. And you can trust that if this shows up in a Monday, that you probably know this word. This happens to be guru, which is a Sanskrit word. To apply as a skill is to use a skill. I think it's now a good time to look at this long answer, so let's take a look at that. Main drag through Sin City, Las Vegas. So, okay, well, because it says Sin City here, makes me think this is Las Vegas, because you would try to avoid the actual words in the answer when you're writing the clue. So Sin City becomes Las Vegas, and this looks like it's Las Vegas Strip. All right, what about this one here? Long stories, well, sagas. Wipe clean is to erase. Well, it can, I suppose, wipe clean in can mean a few things. Like you might actually just clean something, sort of scrub it. Well, I suppose erase means scrub in that sort of way, but erase and wipe clean, yeah, that works. America's Got Talent segments. I think you just call them acts. Different kinds of acts, magic acts, sort of stunts, singing, for instance. Gateway Arch National Park. I didn't know that it was a national park. I'll be honest. I thought the Gateway Arch was just a man-made arch in St. Louis. But okay, I don't know. Spanish cat. Well, the word for a cat in Spanish is gato. Actually, I think I sort of learned this recently, but the G is not actually pronounced in Spanish. I think it's more like hato or something, or more it's like I don't know. I was sort of confused, a bit surprised when I first learned that, and I don't actually know how to pronounce this, but I'm just going to go with the way I'm used to pronouncing it, which is gato. It's probably terrible. It's terrible Spanish, but I didn't learn Spanish, so too bad. Track and field event with a 16-pound ball is a shot put. Let's see what else there is. British novelist Jones. Um, I don't know many people named Jones British, but I do know Rosie Jones. Because she was a contestant on Taskmaster and she wrote children's books, but I don't think she's a novelist. So I'm gonna put that aside for now and look at what there might be here. Indigenous Southwestern people or a home they might live in. Makes me think. Well, the only home I can think of for indigenous Native Americans is a teepee, a wigwam. Also, I can't think of any other names. So I'll have to think about that for now. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. You know what? Maybe I should just look through all the fill in the blanks just to because it's quite simple. I think. I've heard of this one. This is Georgia Tech, Atlanta School. Let's see. What's this one? Their typo, not mine. Okay, so I guess this is the first time I really kind of encountered these brackets in a while. Maybe I can just kind of explain what this is. So, um, you get this bracket thing to signify that this is a thing that this is like sort of the meaning of this answer, but that this is typically not a verbally said phrase, or it could be more like a sound effect. So, for instance, if this was brackets and it said "so boring," then you can think perhaps the answer for this is snore, because it's not a verbal communication. It's not a phrase that means the same thing, but it's more like a sound. In this case, it's not even a sound. This is just an abbreviation. Not an abbreviation. It's just a Latin word used in editing for sick, just meaning like this mistaken grammar is quoted and is not intentional. Well, it's not a mistake from the quoter. Yeah, I think it's hard for me to really articulate exactly when the bracket is appropriate. But you'll see, like, for instance, in this one, I don't know what this is yet right now. Um, no need to remind me is you would need to come up with a phrase that means that, sort of like something that's said. I think this might be I know. Let's take a look at what this is. Water pitcher. You know, I to this day I don't know what a ewer is actually, but I only know that it is something that has water in it. So there it is. To be a passenger. Oh, by the way, come in. Same thing, sort of a verbal phrase. You might also say the word enter to mean come in. Outdoor John. Outdoor John makes me think the reason why it's question mark might maybe the word John is referring to John as in the toilet. It might not be, I'll be honest. I can't really figure out what that is right now. Okay, so to be a passenger is to ride. What about this one? A 9-member musical group is a non-net. I guess sort of musical groups are always ending in et, so you're sort of like quartet, octet sometimes, things like that. To love to bits is to adore something. Oh, okay. So outdoor John, maybe it was going for the misdirection was to make you think a John as a toilet, but this is John Deere, which is like a brand of like tractors or other kind of outdoor equipment, sort of outdoor working equipment, things like that. Okay. Question 2 is scaredy cat, to which the final parts of 20, 32, and 42 across might answer yes. Okay, so we have the word strip here, and I don't know what this is yet. I'll come back to it later. Chicken maybe. Oh, right. Okay, because that looks like it's chicken, and chicken strip. What could this be? Chicken tender maybe. Chicken wing. Chicken nugget. Chicken nugget. Right, a valuable bit in a prospector's pan is a gold nugget, and a chicken nugget, chicken strip. Let's see what this is. Why? Who's chicken? Why so chicken? I don't. How? What do people say with something chicken? I'll come. I mean, it will come to me at some point. But let's just take a look at what else I can find here. Okay, so some frozen drinks are ices. Taking to court is suing. And I suppose, like, did this come up before? But it is also acceptable to put an e in the middle here. But I suppose it's less common. Taking to court is suing, so you always have to follow the same conjugation of the verb, in this case ing. So it makes things a lot easier when you have, like, if you're starting out solving and you don't know the answer to this right off the top of your head, but if you can see this, you can be quite confident that the ending will be an ing. Now, sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes you have the clue be ing, but then the word itself, the answer, is not ing, because maybe it's an adjective. Some words ending in ing can be adjectives, and so the answer does not necessarily have to reflect that. But in this case, this is like very clearly a verb, not an adjective, so we can pretty comfortably put an ing over there, and you can be sure it's right. Then you can figure out what these two letters are afterwards. Okay, let's see what else there is. Lake on Ohio's northern border. You'll see this a lot. Lake Erie. Pimples is acne. Then what is this one? From rags to riches. Okay, what about this word? This looks like it's orca. Yeah. Are you chicken? That's what it is. Are you chicken? What about this one? Period before starting more school is a gap year. Let's see what other I have a lot of. Delicious is yum. Okay, nice. What about this ye here? To bellow is to yell. Then what is this one? I think I know this one. Divvied up. All right. And what about this one? What students abide by when they don't cheat? They abide by the honor code. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this one now. I think I can probably get this with all these letters, and also knowing that the last word should be a chicken something, chicken product. Okay. Hockey player who typically plays the entire game. So it is tender. Oh, goaltender. That's what it is. Goaltender. That works. So we have chicken strip, chicken nugget, and chicken tender. And of course, the final parts of these answers would say yes to the question, are you chicken? So that's what this revealer is getting at. Let's take a look at this PU thing. And I still don't think I can get this, which is kind of a shame. But it's no worries. I'll just come back to it later. What about this UT? Let's see what this... Nope, not for me. All right, I like these ones. So like, you might look at this, you might not really have any idea what this is, but I always sort of, when I get phrases like this, I'm always looking for words me or I, particularly me in the clue, because if there's me in the clue, almost always there's going to be I in the answer, because you don't want to have repeated words, but me and I certainly are okay as clue and answer. So in this one, I'm trying to think of a phrase that has the word I something or something I. In this case, I is in the front, and you might think of like, nope, not for me. You might need help with some other words, but this is I'm out. Sort of like, for instance, like in Shark Tank. The resident of Muscat is an Omani. Yeah, I think words like this, you don't have that much that you need to know about Oman itself in order to get this. Like I guess at a minimum, if you want to solve crosswords, you'll need to know the capital of this country and maybe just know generally like what countries are next to it, because sometimes you might get neighbor of a Yemeni or something like that too, and you need to find a country that's next to Yemen, and then the name of a person that lives in that country. Was it Oman? Omani. Measure around the waist is girth. This looks like it's ramp. Oh, rasp. Okay. Rasp is a hoarse voice. Then what is this? Explosive sounding TVT. I was sort of got my words mixed up. TV. It's not. It's TV, but it's TNT. There it is. Okay. Minor disruption in the proceedings. Looks like this is a hiccup. Then this looks like lost cause, I think. Stopping people from using lay when they mean live, for instance. It's a lost cause. And, fair enough. Even I don't really understand the difference between these two. For all I care about, these two words are basically the same, just interchangeable. Because no one's going to actually correct me. Words to live by is a creed. This is an interesting UE at the end. T on a TF test is true. Let's see, what is it? Lack of difficulty is ease. What is this? Amaze is odd. And let's check that. Like the fish in poke is raw. And drink served by the Mad Hatter is tea. That's right, because it's a Mad Tea Party. Let's see what else there is. Luminesce. Luminesce is to show light, I suppose, because you have luminescent, showing light. So this is glow. Then what is this? Online haha. And Goa is... I have heard of Goa. I actually did a project on Goa, funny enough. So this was in AP World. This was during COVID, so... Yeah, there it is. I don't actually know much about Goa, but I know it's a place, and sometimes if you're like having an early week puzzle and you have Goa, you might sometimes clue Goa as two separate words in a phrase. I don't know, just something like that. There are possibilities. Crow's call is a caw, and this is a cue. Pool player stick. That's right. What about this? Punk inspired music genre is emo. Then this is a precious stone is a gem. Okay, I still don't know PU. That's not going to help me now. So a steep walled canyon is a gorge. I'm thinking of like in Mario Kart, there's Mushroom Gorge. An L on a t-shirt tag stands for large. And pick from the menu is to order. Then this looks like hard, heard, hard. It's brain busting. Might be a hard question. Trireme implement. I know a trireme is like an old Greek ship. I only know that because of history as well. Actually, no. I also saw a recent like puzzle channel talking about a cryptic clue actually, where the answer was triremes, and the point was like it was kind of an obscure word, but I do know this. This is an or, and let's see what this is. Portable writing surface. Looks like it's a clipboard. What's this one? Picket line crosser. They're known as scabs, and you might get some of these interesting sort of misdirect clues with scabs and picket lines in the future. So I'll call it out next time I see it. A spam spewer is a bot. Spam as in spam mail, not the pig meat. Devoured is 8. And then what is this? An alto, I think. A voice above tenor is alto because you have SATB voices. Nutritionist's plan is diet. Oh, this looks like a pueblo. Southwestern people. Ah, okay, that's nice. British novelist Jones is Sadie, which I didn't know before, but that's cool. Let's take a look at the if there were any words that I didn't get to, but I think I've sort of covered all of them, so that's really nice. And the fact is that we were able to just maintain a really nice flow of solving. So I guess in this solve, I was more so trying to emulate like how you should sort of select where to look around if you were, solving this on your own. Particularly if you're not very good with trivia or vocabulary, it's nice to go with words where where you've already filled in the first letter or the first few letters, because it's usually easier to sort of say in your head like possible options when you have the first few letters of words, rather than, for instance, the last few letters. So that makes it easier. It also makes it easier when you have like almost all the letters. So that's why I sort of try to go for the ones where I had almost all the letters filled in, usually just one letter left. Things like that just makes it, a lot more approachable rather than trying to just sort of scatter around, like just sort of be scattered and just have a bunch of words all over the place. Well, I mean, in more difficult puzzles, I actually kind of do adopt that strategy and just try to bring them all together. Just because, like, honestly, I don't really have much else to go off of when it's a difficult puzzle. So really, it's kind of a mixed strategy, I suppose. If you're really going for like time, I would say probably you want to. Well, I don't know. I think there's a point to be made in both strategies. So you kind of want to have a mixed strategy depending on if you want to sort of maintain a flow and just kind of go in separate sections, or if you want to just try and like run through all of the possible clues and just look at the ones that you know instantly and then just kind of work from multiple starting points. So all of those are valid. In this case, I tried a sort of different strategy. Maybe if you were trying to if you were to try solving it on your own, you might have a different strategy. Maybe you might sort of see which one works. I don't know. It's all up to you, really. You can use any strategies that you want to solve puzzles. You can like use Google if you want. I mean, I was using Google for months when I was starting out. So it's it is how it is. Puzzles meant to be fun. It's not meant to be like you don't really need to prove yourself to anyone. I'm just yapping at this point. I really need to wrap this video up. Is there anything else I need to talk about? I think the only one that was that got me was this outdoor John, and I'll be honest, I'm not really sure why the question mark is here. I get that on a Monday, this sort of clue is just kind of weird, in the sense that it's very much a loose clue, as in terms of like sort of specificity compared to the other ones, um, because you have, I don't know, many possible Johns, and there's no reason to think that deer is the answer for this. I don't know. So all of this just to say, like, perhaps maybe I need to review like my own idea of what a question mark clue is. In my opinion, a question mark clue only signifies a misdirection. And maybe I was wrongly misdirected by my own assumption of the question mark clue meaning like I had to think harder about it. In this case, I didn't really have to think about John meaning toilet, which now that I think about it, not many people actually like refer to toilets as Johns. I feel like my idea of like vocabulary has been skewed very strongly by crosswords now because I'm seeing all these sort of references and I only get it because I've seen them in previous puzzles. And slowly they've been creeping into my everyday speech. Like before I solved crosswords, I had never heard of the word iota used in real life. And now that it has, I've just started been using the word iota, like when talking about just random, like the things I never needed to use the word iota. I could have just said like 1 bit, but now I say things like 1 iota, and I imagine like people just look at me weird when I do that. Um, so yeah, basically no one actually says John for toilet. I don't know why. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about question mark clues. So I think main point is when you have a question mark clue, you just have to be a bit stretchy. You have to be a bit loose with your interpretation of things. I suppose that's what the point of it is, particularly with Mondays. Um, and I think it's more like a creative liberty. I think it's more of like a style choice, really more than like an actual like hard and fast rule. I don't know. I'm saying too much now. Oh, there actually was a thing that I was sort of referring to when I was saying go Um, you could at times have a phrase like this, partial phrase, that's what they call it. And the phrase would be given with a fill in the blank, and you have to find more than one word that goes in there. So typically things like this are not ideal, especially if these two words are very specific and they only specifically work in a certain context. Um, in this case, the two words in are found in quite a lot of clues, in quite a lot of phrases. So this is not too bad. And certainly it's a lot better to have these skins on a Monday. Um, actually, there was actually about that point. There's actually an abbreviation that I've not heard of in a very long time in puzzles. It's the abbreviation ITD, as in apostrophe D, and the meaning for that is like it would. But the only clue that I've ever seen that written in would be it'd be a pleasure. So it would be like it'd be a pleasure, and the first part of that would be a blank. And I remember when I first started out with crosswords, I like absolutely loved it when those clues came up, specifically ITD, because that was like the only one that I actually knew like 100%. Um, so there's kind of a point to this, which I guess is like the disconnect between what constructors think are like beautiful clues and versus what solvers really want. Because as a beginning solver, I would actually really like this clue because it's something that I know 100%. Whereas like later on, I grew to dislike these things when making puzzles just because I thought they were kind of clunky. But I guess this Monday has taught me a few things. It's taught me, like you got to be a bit nice with these question marks. You can be a bit friendly with them, not just to show that you're being tricky. And in this one as well, the partial phrases are okay. Yeah. That's it.